What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about the top 5 short squeeze stocks that you need to add to your watch list. So I'm going to go over all the things that you need to know, but first make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off with stock number 1, not in any particular order though, ticker is BSLK. So on Wednesday it did go up 556%. Over the last 1 year though, still down 92.04%. But over the last 5 days, definitely getting some pretty good traction. A lot of good information here on a side note, so feel free to kind of pause it if necessary. If you are curious, this is what they do. So commodity chemicals based out of San Francisco in the States, but 12.47% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 173,000 shares overall being shorted. So that does meet the criteria of what the market does generally like to squeeze. So somewhat heavily shorted, low float. So it's kind of a win-win for that. Cost to borrow average is 470%. That is a annual rate, not a daily rate, just so you're aware of that. Short score, higher the number, the higher the likelihood of a squeeze happening, is sitting at 74.34. And then through IBKR, I like to bring this up as a good indication of what might come, but it does indicate 500 shares is available to be shorted. So that is very low. So most likely you will be seeing some institutions buy the stock just to lend out, because the cost to borrow is fairly juicy, 286%. That's just a loan through IBKR. Like I said, the average was, what was it, 450 or whatever else. But nonetheless, this stock definitely adds to your watch list, has a lot of good momentum, and plus shorts appear as though that they are very overextended. Moving on to the next one, it is ticker EQ, sitting at 93 cents. Over the last 1 year, it is up 27%, and then over the last 5 days, it is up 70.62%. And I know I explain this every single video or of these types of videos. I like to choose stocks that have some good pre-existing momentum, and in many cases as well, shorts are just kind of overextended. I think that's a good recipe for either a nice squeeze or potentially just nice capital appreciation. One thing to take note of though is seasonality for August. It does go up 7.4%. That's on average over the last 6 years. This is what they do. So biotech, 35 employees, founded in 2017, but 16.27% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 2.98 million shares overall being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 153%. Shorts are very reactive to the stock price. You can kind of see them are like they're all over the place for the most part. So anticipate them to be fairly active as this stock does continue to push higher. But eventually there will be that key pivot where either shorts will have to be starting to mitigate some risk, or potentially the stock price might come down. So it'll be a little bit of a battle clearly in this stock, but I do feel just with the broader market's optimism, a lot of stocks are going to be really continuing to move higher. Short score is 76.81, and then through IBKR it does indicate 95,000 shares is available. So somewhat low. So again, you could be seeing some buying from big players just to kind of lend out. So this is another stock to add to your watch list. Moving on to stock number 3, ticker is RDNW. So Ride Now Group. It is sitting at 307 over the last 1 year, down 13.03%, but over the last 5 days up 47.6%. This is what they do. So seasonality, 11.8% over the last 7 years on average. So definitely good for that. But this is what they do. So automotive retail based out of the States, 1,900 employees, give or take. 16.91% of the free float is being shorted. Works to be 2.03 million shares. Cost to borrow average is 6.58%, and shorts have been really doubling down since kind of the second week of July. It went from about looks like 10% short interest to where it is now. So shorts have been really doubling down. DTC on a side note is sitting at 2.69 days. So that does factor in the stock's average volume in comparison to the number of shares being shorted. So that also can be kind of interpreted as the magnitude of a squeeze. So a higher DTC is very beneficial. Short score is 68.64, and then through IBKR does indicate 9.6 million million shares available to be shorted. So most likely you won't be seeing any buying, at least based on this, in my opinion, unless it somehow gets depleted in the next day or so. But nonetheless, this one still is one to add to your watch list. Moving on to stock number 2, tickers MRM, so Medrome Healthcare, sitting at 213 over the last 1 year. It is down 26.55%. Over the last 5 days, up 8.46, and then over the last 1 month, up 55.47. A lot of good volume getting in. Seasonality over the last 4 years, on average, goes up 1.7%. Nothing overly crazy, but it is based out of Japan, specialized consumer services, 645 employees. So feel free if you want to pause it and read through that. But 17.74% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 1.03 million shares overall being shorted. Cost to borrow average, definitely on the high end, 512%. Shorts are very reactive to the stock price. Almost July, it was at 0.06% of the free floats being shorted. So shorts have been very reactive to the stock price. Short score is 81.15, so very much on the high end for that. And then through IBKR does indicate a lonely 700 shares is available to be shorted. So most definitely you'll be seeing some buying just to lend out. And this is why it does go from 100,000 down to 15, down to 10, down to 2. That does show that the shares are being kind of lent out. And so this is why you will see kind of jumps up where it went from even 8,000 to 85,000. So that most likely is some institution or whatever else did buy roughly 80,000 shares, give or take, and just to lend out. So this is why I kind of bring this up. It is rather important behind the scenes. Nonetheless, moving on to the last stock, tickers VVPR. $5.88 over the last 1 year, up 152%, and then over the last 5 days, up 36.43%. This is what they do. So renewable electricity, 14 employees based out of the looks like UK. Seasonality over the last 8 years, on average, it does go up 49.4%. So pretty good month overall. Couple outliers, of course. There was 1 or 2 very, very good years, but 11.35% of the free float is being shorted. Works to be 867,000 shares overall being shorted. So this does again meet that criteria that the market likes to squeeze. Shorts are starting to get in a little bit more. So it looks like end of July, short interest was 1.15%. So shorts have kind of quadrupled down since then. Cost to borrow average 28.53. Short score is a 76.23%. And then through IBKR, it does indicate 250,000 shares is available to be shorted. So at the end of the day, you could be seeing some buying even with this stock. So let me know your thoughts on these stocks. Is there any other squeeze plays that you feel could really move up higher? So if so, throw some tickers in the description below. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I do give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.